Good evening and welcome to week 8, the last week in the course. It's finally that time where we've gone through an awful lot, and I always, when I get to this point, feel that I haven't covered anywhere near enough, but it's that kind of course. And sport economics is exactly a dynamic field so that you can never make sure that you've covered everything. And we do our best to get as far as we can. What I hope we've been able to do is help you understand a lot of the big picture issues that go on in the world of sport and sport business, the real economic impact of our passion, sports, and also hopefully maybe dispel a few commonly held notions that a lot of people do have that maybe haven't been that exposed to the world of sports. There's a lot of misconceptions out there and a lot of ideas, and I hope that we've been able to open everyone's eyes a little bit to understand really what the big picture is all about and what some of the issues are. Sitting back here tonight, I've carefully placed the post hat here to just remind us that that's an intersection of sport and academics is here. This final week, I want us to pay some attention to college sports. My coaching season just ended, which means now the hard work begins. What we do on the court is now dependent for next year is now dependent on what goes on in the administrative and the business side of it, and yes, even in Division II college sports. This is when you go into some really intense recruiting that goes beyond what you've already done. You're going out looking to pick up players and transfers and people in that late recruiting situation market. Remarkably similar to what goes on in pro sports in some respects. Speaking of pro sports, this week you'll see right in front of us the impact of that the big dog in pro sports, the NFL, the draft. The draft used to be something that only real football purists and aficionados followed with any intensity. And here it is. We're going to have a 3 or 4 day television extravaganza. We're down to making the first round on a whole evening just for the first round because it's such a production and it's such a show. It is entertainment. It is beyond sport. And I think we've all learned a lot of that. This weekend, too, you're going to spend an awful lot of time on some following final questions on college sports. Because college sports, I think, is the one place where there are an awful lot of misconceptions. The average fan, I think, doesn't really understand the NCAA. Now, love them or hate them, they're there. They're for real. They're the governing body. But they're a not-for-profit organization. They're not a business, per se. Do they make a lot of money? Yes, but just in one way, essentially. I think some of the reading this week will help you understand that. A lot of people, when they talk about college sports and especially things like the basketball tournament, which is their big, the men's Division I basketball tournament is the big moneymaker for the NCAA. People look at football bowl games and don't understand that the NCAA really doesn't make any money off of those. The new college football playoff, the NCAA really doesn't make much money off of that. The individual conferences and schools with the television contracts and apparel contracts and all that, yes, they make money. The NCAA regulates the sport. They don't make a profit from it. And I think you're going to have to maybe put aside some of your commonly held notions as you read things this week and answer some of the questions that are there. That final discussion is usually a very interesting one when we talk about should we pay college athletes. Tell you right now, I personally am opposed to it, but I'm very interested in what you have to say. You'll also get a chance to work on, and I hope I introduced it and explained it adequately last week, the final exam. And the final exam is, as usual in my courses, not an exam at all. It's a project. It's a paper, a business proposal as it is. It's kind of an examination. I've asked you to put on the hat of a consultant and to speak to the head of a league, head of a governing body, head of an enterprise, and say, putting all your knowledge together, this is what you feel are the big picture economic moves that we have to make in order to ensure the health of that entity for the next long-term period, say about 10 years. What is it going to take to keep the NFL healthy for 10 years? The NBA, a soccer league, the NCAA, the Olympic Committee. What is it going to take? Because when you look at everything we've talked about, the markets, salaries, media rights, broadcasting, all that kind of stuff, economic development ideas, it all comes into play. And this is your chance to kind of weave everything together and make a recommendation to make the sport you've chosen to talk about healthy. I wouldn't be right to leave this class without telling you again how happy I am with all the discussions that have taken place throughout the class. This particular section was the one that I've had in recent memory, at least, that probably across the board everybody did the best I've seen in a long time. The posts have been insightful. They brought in new information. You've discussed things with each other. I think I really can say this is where most of our learning occurred. I love it the way people challenged each other and asked questions of each other, answered, provided new information, responded. It was a really great job. So that's really what I wanted to say in closing and wrapping it up, that it has been a really fun experience for me. I hope, if nothing else, as I frequently tell a lot of classes, we accomplished one of the biggest things, which was every week to have at least presented one issue where you sat back and said, you know, I never thought of it that way before. And if we've done that, I think we've probably shed some light into the economic world of sports, the bigger business picture of it, and what does it take to get this product that we all consume and really, really enjoy, and for most of us, the word love is not too strong. What does it take to get it in front of us? What does it take to keep it there? What does it take for it to produce the product that will keep us going and interested for as long as we want to? I think those are questions that will go on. As you've seen from a lot of the material, they'll evolve constantly, and it's a subject that you can absorb yourself into and just keep getting into it for the rest of your interest in sports. It's only going to become more and more involved in the economics, the business, and if we don't understand that, maybe we'll not be willing to, we won't lose our enjoyment of it, but we won't understand the next move, and we won't be able to do what we need to do to keep it there. Okay, thank you very much for all your attention. I really appreciate all the work you've put in. I hope we've been able to do our job, and good luck with everything, not only this week in the discussion and in the final project, but in your career in sport. Thanks very much.